All right. How about them apples? Greetings and welcome from the lovely areas of Southern California, Canada, Baltimore, actually Southern Maryland area, North Carolina, and somewhere I believe wherever Brett is in New York or Portland or wherever. Colorado. We are the
That's
Social
sort of like
Blade
New
Show.
York.
Yeah, New York, Colorado, it's all the same. And now you'll get to see me and... Greetings! I am JD Rucker. I am your co-host of the Social Blade Show.
And I'm Patrick Parise.
I'm Aaron Ryan.
And I am Jason Urgo.
And we are missing one person tonight. We are missing Victor. Victor Barrera is not with us tonight. He is on a submarine, actually, heading back from Antarctica. He will be going around Africa up through some kind of peninsula, and then he'll eventually be back into New York, where he'll take a camel and come back to Southern California, and then he'll be on next week's show. But at least for now, he is about 300 yards, 300 leagues, we'll say, because that's nautical terms, 300 leagues below the sea. Great show last week, guys.
He's fireworks too.
He is. He's bringing his fireworks from Antarctica. You know, that's the big economical boom there in Antarctica is the fireworks and the penguins. They sell suits there.
Nice.
Last week's show was phenomenal. As many know, I was in Blog World, and those who don't know what Blog World is, it's a world of blogs. And this year's Blog World Expo was in Las Vegas, and there was so many things that were happening, and I am sworn to secrecy to protect the innocent for a lot of the stuff, but I'll try to go over some details at the end of the show of all the wonderful dunking into waters and other festivities that occurred. And plus, there was actually some good social media goings-ons there in Blog World, which was a beautiful thing. Today's show is jam-packed again. We do have a special guest with us, which we will introduce Mr. Brett Borders later. Oh, let the cat out of the bag. But in the meantime, we're going to jump right into something this absolutely, positively blew my mind when I first saw this. At first, we weren't going to do the story until Urgo said, you know what, you guys have got to see this. And as soon as we saw it, we were all like, yes, okay, we got to do that. Right now, growth of social media in real time. This is hard data. This is from Techtified.com. And as soon as I remove myself, you'll be able to see it. Techtified.com has a widget, I guess is the best way to put it, a widget that basically tracks everything that's happening. We're going to keep this on for the entire time. As I scroll down, you'll see this. And I'm going to refresh the page because I want to start from scratch from the point of the beginning of the show, so that as of now, we are showing.
And while you're reloading, it's actually not Techtified that really created this. It's someone named Gary Hayes that created the widget.
Right.
And yeah, it's just amazing to just stare at this for a little while. It shows in real time, at least with the best estimate of how many new blog posts were created, how many new members joined Facebook, how much dollars were spent on virtual goods, tweets sent on Twitter, videos watched on YouTube, which is just phenomenal how big that number gets. And many, many other things. But one of the things that we thought was really kind of weird was how much money is spent on Facebook gifts.
Yes, I was freaking out. It gets bigger. Like right now, it's like $79. No, it goes up and close to like $1,000, and it keeps going. And I can't believe that. I don't know how many people out there actually buy Facebook gifts, since there are a lot of apps that you can give free Facebook gifts. And by the way, aren't a lot of the Facebook gifts just $1? Isn't that how it works?
You mean people pay for Facebook? So. That's odd. I couldn't imagine it. Yeah,
so
we passed the 1 minute mark, and there have been 600 and it's too hard for me to keep track. 700 now. New blogs posted. Like she said, $155 spent on Facebook. There have been approximately, what is that? How many zeros are there? There's too many zeros for me to even count. 3. There's almost 200 million emails have been sent in the last minute and a half. Money made from global mobile messaging and data, 62,000. This is an ongoing list, and we're going to keep this up for the remainder of the show. Well, not just on your screen, of course, but we're going to keep it live so that at the end of the show, we'll be able to demonstrate exactly what is going on in the social media world during every individual Social Blade show. Good stuff there. Flickr.
Yeah.
Flickr, that's people tagging, and I believe that Urgo was going to talk to us about this because he loves it.
Yeah, and I was playing around with this a little bit. The news is basically Flickr finally got with the program and started doing what Facebook has been doing for quite a long time, which is basically allowing you to tag your photos on Flickr with people's names of who's in them. And they kind of, since they were late on the game here, they kind of added a couple of new features that aren't really in Facebook that are pretty cool. One of the new ones is basically if you get tagged in a photo on Facebook, you could untag yourself, but on Flickr, what you basically can do is if it's this I don't know, bad picture that you don't want to ever be associated with, you can basically opt out of being in that picture forever, which is something you can't do on Facebook. On Facebook, you could basically deny yourself from being tagged or deny a person from tagging you, but you can't do it per picture, which is kind of what they are excelling at on this here. Some other things also, you can pick specifically who can tag you, pick who is allowed to tag your photos, and those are really the main ones that they added there. And I mean, the only real downside is when you are using the tagging, you have to tag it with actual users on Flickr. And if you're used to posting pictures on Facebook, there's a good chance that probably your friends that are in all your pictures aren't going to have Flickr accounts yet. So that's really the only major downside here. So
Which doesn't sound like
much.
It doesn't sound like much of a downside to me, really. I'm not a big Flickr user myself, but I can tell you this: I tag a lot. It started off in my days with the gang when I'd have to go and tag as part of my ritualistic, joining of the gang itself, and so I learned how to tag very well.
Yeah,
great stuff.
No, but the reason I use Flickr though, as opposed to like Facebook for pictures, it's just the quality. It's so much better on Flickr.
Like the quality of the images themselves.
The quality, yeah, like the size that they let you see them at. Facebook resizes them to this tiny little picture, almost postage stamp size. On Flickr though, you can get the full resolution pictures if you have a pro account. If you don't have a pro account, you can still get much bigger than Facebook gives you. So,
tagged.
That's
but you have to remember too that Flickr is more for photos and Facebook is for everything.
Exactly.
They can't really do a fair comparison there.
Well, I'm happy you can't poke me on Flickr, can you?
No.
I don't believe so.
You can't.
Well,
but you do have to be careful. You definitely have to be careful of what you're posting out there and sending out there on the web, because the CIA could be watching. In QTEL, the investment arms of the CIA is putting money into a company called Visible Technologies, a software firm for social media monitoring, analysis, and engagement. This is just a small part of a movement that the CIA is trying to get better at using open source intelligence. Visible Technologies crawls over 500,000 social media sites a day. They are spying on your posts, your blogs, conversations that you're having, and what's going on in forums. But it doesn't stop there. It also spies on our favorites like Flickr, that we just spoke about, YouTube, Twitter, and oddly enough, even Amazon. Yes, the CIA can see what you are reading. The reason for this is... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, this just isn't really all that new also. It's always been rumored that the CIA was behind Facebook in the first place also. But sorry, continue on.
Didn't you watch Seven?
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, because the thing is that this is only good for open source, and Facebook is closed source. So our friend Facebook, Urgo, they're not spied on through the CIA. Visible Technologies cannot spy on Facebook. That's the one, as of yet, anyways. That's the one.
Again, though, if you look it up, you can find some stories that people have documented that if you believe the conspiracy at least, Facebook actually has been funded and created by the CIA in the first place. So if that's the case, they don't need to build anything else upon it.
Okay, so this story doesn't scare you guys out there. Jason will. Now, how it works, how it works is it's based upon keywords that customers get in real time through a feed, and it's judged on the negatives and the positives. How much influence the author has in the conversations, forums, anything they post at all, even in videos. So you got to be careful of that. They can also send it to their colleagues using a web interface, and they tag it as well. So this kind of sounds like a social networking site within itself to monitor social networking sites. But basically, the reason why they're doing it is because they want to monitor foreign social media conversations going back and forth, and they want to spook any early warning detection that's being sent out.
Now, is
So
that an intentional pun, by the
no.
way? Just FYI. They want to spook us?
Of course.
See, I get poked by the CIA all the time, but that's a whole different story. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Well, it's not the only CIA. It's not only the CIA that's investing in visible technologies. It's also Dell, AT&T, and Verizon. So you really aren't alone when they have those commercials of all the people behind you. And for Microsoft's using it. They are wanting to see what's going on and the buzz that's going on around Windows 7. So as long as it's open source, you might want to take a closer look at what you're sending out, or you might actually watch a little closer. Now, do you think that this is a little bit of an infringement of our privacy policies, or do you feel comfortable with CIA or any other companies using sites like Visible Technologies to monitor us?
Yes, I do. And can I say why? I think
Sure.
I think that different codes are used for everything from terrorism to mafia to crime wars to drug wars. I think this is the way that they can monitor, catch it, and I think that certain keywords are going to be something that would relate back to terrorism or cocaine trafficking or so on something. I want people that are nosy enough to look after my best interest. I want somebody who's more worried about, I don't care if they're, oh, wow, this person cheating on that person. I want someone, wow, these people are planning an attack on Great Britain and their subway system, and this is how we know, Follow what I'm saying?
I totally do, and I knew that was going to be said, but you have to remember, too, it's not just for that. And I don't know if that's a little bit of a cover-up on their part as well, because what they're doing is they're monitoring everything, and it's not just for foreign policy. It's, how much influence a certain author doesn't mean that they have to be outside of the U.S. or Canada or anywhere else. It just means that they're going to monitor your stuff. And, I mean, I see that Amy wrote, do you actually think, I'm just paraphrasing here, but do you actually think, Amy Burnham wrote, do you actually think that the CIA actually has time to spend on monitoring? And yeah, I mean, there's a certain part of the CIA that this is what they have to do. Sorry, Amy. But this is
Well, yeah,
their job. It's an arms. It's a part of the CIA. I mean, and I think it's smart to monitor social media sites, can be used in a negative sense, but at the same time, I do think it's a little bit of an infringement on our privacy if we're having conversations and we're being watched without our knowledge. And are we being recorded? Which Urgo and I had a conversation about recording the other day. Right?
By the way, you are being recorded right now, Aaron. Just FYI.
Holy crap.
For YouTube.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, there is one way around it. Okay, I mean, let's be frank here. We don't want to be recorded. We don't want people to be watching what we're doing. We want to take security into account, and even if it is the government, even if it is some hacker down the block, you really need to have the best possible equipment available. Which is why I recommend going to hothardware.com. At hothardware.com, you'll be able to fight the government, fight the hackers, learn the best ways to attack those who are trying to attack us, who are trying to take away our freedoms and our online civil liberties. At hardware.com, they discuss breaking news. They have reviews, articles. They have everything that you'll need as a conscientious individual surfing the web in a relatively legal manner to be able to achieve your goals of living anonymously and doing whatever it takes to legally and, by golly, your American given right or even your Canadian given right to live well and to have a good, strong computer. So thank you to hardware.com for fighting the good fight. In other news, sorry, that was my worst one ever. Dave, I apologize. Sports Illustrated was soliciting a Digg user, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. You guys can see it on here. It ended up getting like almost 2,000 digs, 1,800 digs on it. Quite frankly, to me, this isn't a story, but I wanted to bring it up because people were treating it as if it was a story. What happened was basically someone from Sports Illustrated contacted apparently a top user at Digg and said, "Hey, basically, if you want to submit, I'd be more than happy to help you. You know, I'll give you the inside scoop. I'd love for you to submit our stuff. We're trying, but we don't want to be the only ones submitting. So we're asking other people to submit." And this apparently was a big, huge deal. Here's the thing: it's not, okay. This is not a big deal whatsoever. This happens all the time, every day. Somebody or another is asking any of 300 Digg users to submit content for them. The fact that it's Sports Illustrated, yeah, okay, so that opened up some eyeballs and gave us a target, but there's nothing wrong with it, okay? I'm sorry. You know, if you want to promote your content, you've got a couple of choices. You can either build out a really strong Digg account, or you can make friends. And so the offer to get this content out, to me, is just not that big of a deal. Actually,
Well, it kind
Jason,
of
yeah,
though shows
you're the one I was going to ask.
The general Digg community's feeling on it, though. How, you know, that story was dug up so many times. It does show what the general public thinks about, I don't know, going out and trying to have other people submit your content.
Right.
That is, you know.
I think it shows that there's 1,800 people that don't have good, strong Digg accounts and don't have a IM list. Therefore, no one talks to them or asks them to do anything.
Well, it could be that. That's definitely a possibility. I think that it really is just. I mean, it's just people want to talk about purity on Digg. Purity doesn't exist on Digg. Okay, the best content.
It doesn't.
The best content does not always make it to the top. Okay, there's certain sites that have incredible content that will never make it. So, but that's a whole other story, a whole other show, and don't even get me started. I'm going to skip right past that because my blood is percolating, boiling. I'm going to have to drink some coffee. I don't have any Starbucks tonight because my wife is actually out of town, so I was stuck making coffee. I made Colombian coffee, so you won't see Starbucks. I did get a phone call.
First time ever. Right?
Oh, I did get a phone call from Starbucks. I did get a phone call from Starbucks. They said, you know, we just want to make sure you're all right. We hadn't seen you in a few hours, and
didn't see Tammy.
Hadn't seen Tammy. Hadn't seen you in a few hours. We were gonna call the police, call the CIA, but luckily they already knew because we tweeted about it. They knew that you were missing, and so they should be outside of your door. Right? Oh, there they are. Hey, okay, I'm good.
JD,
I'm
you
good.
know what they ought to add on that flash animation chart?
What is that?
How many you buy at Starbucks?
It would break the system. Sorry, the system would be broken very, very quickly. Big, huge news of the week, and this is funny because it did kind of coincide unintentionally with our wonderful guest. But the one of the big stories of the week was that Google this is the wrong one. It started off with actually Bing. Bing made a deal with Twitter and with Facebook. Now they've already owned part of Facebook for a while. They purchased was $274 million worth of Facebook approximately last year, and now they have apparently made a deal with Twitter as well to start putting their stuff within their search stream, which, here's the thing, it already has been. It's just never been official. I did a search the other day for, what was it? It was Los Angeles Honda, looking for a Honda dealer in my local area. And the number 3 result on Bing was a Twitter account for Los Angeles Honda. So it's like, where did that come from? But the secondary big news, which followed right on its tails, is that Google has now announced a search deal with Twitter. from the Google blog, given this new type of information and its value to search, and they're talking about the real-time stuff that's on Twitter specifically. We are very excited to announce that we've reached an agreement with Twitter to include their updates in our search results. We believe that our search section and user experience will greatly benefit from the inclusion of up-to-the-minute data, and we look forward to having a product that showcases how tweets can make search better in the coming months. The product that they're talking about, the product's already there, okay? The product is there. The product is called Search. What they're talking about from a product perspective is really more of an algorithmic safeguard. What they're fearful of, and what has always been the problem or the concern with real-time web is spamming. If they're going to be tweeting this, they have no controls over what people can put in the tweets, and people will figure out determine ways to game the system. As one of my jobs, I need to learn ways to game that system. It's part of what I do, and I can assure you that people will figure this out. So now, basically, what Google and Bing, their big job right now, their big push is going to be to try to prevent that from happening. Take real-time data, which is extremely relevant, extremely amazing stuff, and turn that into something that can be filtered properly. So, which is funny that we brought that up. It's a mixture of search and social. That leads us to our guest. Our guest this week is Brett Borders, better known, or also known, he's very well known as Brett Borders, but he's also known as Brett from Tibet. Brett, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. For those who can see on the screen, he is in the bottom left corner facing us. That is Brett from Tibet, and I've never seen him before. I've seen a picture of him, but I've never seen him live on video, so it is a pleasure, an amazing pleasure to have you on the show, Brett.
Awesome. I've never been on one of these web shows either. It's cool.
Well, this will be the last time, I'm sure, but Patrick, just kidding. Stop insulting the guests. Okay, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
I believe that you had, because I looked at Patrick's list and he had about 645 questions. So, Brett, what are you doing for the next 7 or 8 hours? Because we're going to be hitting you with all of them.
I'm here.
All right, excellent. Beautiful. All right, Pat, get started. Hit him.
All right. Well, this is a gentleman that we could interview for hours. I mean, people we get are interesting, but Brett's, creator of Social Media Rockstar, among other ventures that he's into. And he's also an SEO, and I'm sure JD's going to ask a couple questions about that a little bit later. But 2 questions for you right off the bat. Why do you call your blog Social Media Rockstar, and why are you referred to as Brett from Tibet?
Okay.
Are you from Tibet, and what Tibet?
I
stunned him already.
I saw somebody describe Neil Patel back in the day. They're like, oh, he's a social media rock star. And something about that phrase really rung out for me. It was like, I thought it was just really magnetic. And I thought, like, rock and roll was this medium that seems kind of quaint now, but at the time it was a really revolutionary, radical kind of new media with new instruments. And a rock star is somebody that's just creative, and they don't do any boring work. They don't do anything square. They just pour their creativity into new media, and they get to live like an exciting lifestyle off of it. And I think that's kind of the dream that like most people in the social media game have. They dream about social media as being a ticket to something more, a ticket to like a better life or something like that. And I think it's what a lot of people, want to be, or they just want to be more successful or get more attention. So I thought it was a good blog name. And nickname Brett from Tibet, there was a guy from, some Europeans were making fun of me when I was traveling because I was American, and they didn't like Americans. And I just told them, like, dude, I'm not American. Like, I'm not your stereotype. You don't understand me. Like, you don't know me. Quit judging me. And they're like, no, you are an American. And I'm like, no, I'm Brett, and I'm from Tibet. So just shut up and deal with it. So it's just a kind of silly name that rhymes.
There were French people there?
And I imagine the people laughed at it when you told them that story.
Yeah, they just were like, they just laughed. It's just a silly name, and it just means that I'm not from here, from there, from anywhere. It's just a really easy way for people to remember my name.
All right, well, very good. Let me ask you this: earlier this month, you wrote an article in your site. It says 5 sites that. I'm sorry, Brett. I've done your social media expert yet. All right, let's get into that just a little bit if we could, because one of the things I wanted to ask you about it is, why the term social media expert? Why are people so hell bent on having that as a title? And you know, aside from what your article says, what makes them a social media expert?
Um, I find the phrase social media expert to be hilarious. Like it's a really contentious phrase, and there's like people that are like, "Oh, I'm a social media expert," and they're like, "Oh, you're not a social media expert." So I just find that it's really funny. It's just this title that people bestow upon themselves or bestow on other people, kind of like social media rock star. And I just get a kick out of it. I think it's just kind of funny. And also it makes good link bait. Like people are always like, I don't know. I saw so many articles that were like, if you're a social media expert, you have to know how to do a WordPress database backup. Or if you're a social media expert, you have to like be friends with Chris Brogan and Louis Gray, or else you don't know nothing, or something like this. Like people all have these like different listed criteria, so they seem to be doing pretty well in the social media sphere. So I'm like, okay, why don't I make my own link bait that just goes with the social media expert meme?
Well,
Okay, so how come?
that's just dandy. Can somebody help me? Is someone gonna be able to help me change my WeFollow account now that I got it all set up and now I got to change it?
Huh? Yeah,
My
sure.
WeFollow account on Twitter.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
what sets a true social media expert apart from the rest, and why do the people argue about it so much?
Okay, well, I think that the people that are the most sensitive to the phrase social media expert are people that aren't really social media experts, or I think people that are just like client type people when they see a profile on Twitter that's like, Josh Johnson, social media expert, business guru. I think they think like, oh, wow, this guy's a social media expert. But I think it really gets under the skin of other people that claim to be social media experts, and they all kind of just sort of like give each other like this heavy level of scrutiny, like, oh, you're not really a social media expert, or you are a social media expert. Um, and I guess to me, the people that I think are social media experts are people that have skills worth talking about. People that are just like, damn, have you seen how many homepage stories this guy gets on Digg? Does that guy ever sleep? Or like, have you seen all the stuff that he's written? Or, can you believe how much money like so and so makes off of his blog? Um, for me, that's one of the like big flags is that you've got this like level of skills that like other people are like impressed by or that are worth talking about, and it's not just really this self-proclaimed thing. And I think it's also an expert is somebody that knows how to use social media rather than get used by social media. I definitely get used by social media. I can get like sucked or like Twitter, Skype, Facebook vortex that goes on for several hours, and I'm like, oh crap, I've got to get some work done. But I think that a social media expert is somebody that like really knows how to use social media tools like a mature adult, and not like a primitive villager that just got the cable installed in his hut and like forgot to go tend the crops and go hunting or something like that.
Right.
They only do that in
So how
Canada.
come they only do that in
Yeah.
Canada, JD? Brett, how come there are so many fakes? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Why do you think there are so many fakes out there that want to use "I'm an expert"?
I think that social media it's a natural platform for people that never had a platform before. It used to just be an incredibly elite thing to have like a webcasting show like we're having now. There was a time where like only the most upper crest of like downtown Manhattan NBC society would ever share their views on anything. So I think that social media attracts people that are sort of attracted to the camera, or like enjoy the sound of their own voice, or like to see their own words on the screen. And I think there's also it's an opportunity just because it's something new. Every time something that comes up that's new that business starts to get interested in, like if real businesses are starting to get interested in it as they've been starting to get interested in social media for the past few years, I think just opportunists come along and say, here's a new hole. I never was that good at law school. Everybody knows like I can't fix cars worth a damn, but hey, I'm a social media expert because like, I've got like, I know how to use Facebook. I know how to do a Twitter background. I know how to like, do Facebook chat and upload pictures and tag them or something like that. And so people are like, yeah, and this stock brokerage firm doesn't know any of that, so they feel really sort of inflated or entitled to claim something that I guess the real industry leaders wouldn't claim. And I think that a lot of the people that call themselves social media experts, they're what I call social media kindergarten teachers. And they're very capable of providing some guidance to somebody that has absolutely no knowledge of social media whatsoever. But I think that an expert is it's a much loftier term from where I'm coming from, or from where most of the people that I hang out with online are coming from.
Well, Brett, I'll have you know real
go ahead.
quick. I was going to say I'll have you know that it's still like that. The as far as from the perspective of the people who are allowed to come on these shows and speak, they really do have to be celebrities. They won't just let anyone on Ustream anymore. We had to go through a very deep vetting process and do auditions. You know, I was hanging out with Leno for a while, and he said, "Hey, kids, you got talent. You got talent."
Yeah.
And
you
just
guys,
FYI.
you guys all have some skills, and you've got something to say. You've got content. You've got insight. And we might not have had a chance to do this 10 years ago, but I guess now we do have a chance to do it. And there's just a whole different range of styles and people that are good at different things. Some of the guys on the show, like Patrick and JD, they're really good at social news, and I would say, they don't know everything about all aspects of social media, but they're definitely, they've been there, done that, they've been in the trenches, they've just lost sleep, eating, breathing, drinking, and smoking social news before. And I think that people are experts at that one thing, or Urgo is definitely an expert. If I've ever seen anybody at social analytics or web social analytics. But I think that an expert, it's definitely a grand term, and just to claim that for all of social media, I think that's pretty lofty. My dad is a real estate broker, and I think it's my honest opinion, he's won real estate awards, he's won best-selling realtor or something like that in the county, and I think he's a really good realtor, but I don't think he's a real estate expert that understands all the industry trends and could advise large corporations or something like that. I just think he's a professional realtor. I don't think he's an expert. Sorry, Dad.
Well, I don't know about JD, but I know I'll never be a social expert as long as I keep getting banned from Digg. Maybe once I get figured out how to quit getting banned on Digg, then I might have a shot, outside shot. But as far as there being all these webcast shows that you talk about, the only ones I know about are Social Blade and the Drill Down. There's more? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What are some of the myths and misconceptions about social media as far as it goes? What do people look at when they say social media, I can do this and it's going to make me lots of money?
I think that's one of the big misconceptions about it. One of the big myths is that every company needs to be on social media, because I think most companies don't really have anything to say. There's a takeout restaurant that's near my house, and maybe they want to be on Twitter, but I don't think the owner, he's an immigrant and he cooks Chinese food, and anyway, he's just really busy cooking, and I just don't think of him as the social media type guy that really needs to be on Twitter, or he's going to be able to leverage that. So I think that there's a lot of in corporations too, there's just a lot of people that don't really have a whole lot to say. They're not particularly broadcaster or communicator type people, and I think it's for them it's more of a liability, or it's more of a distraction. But if a company does have a novel or a compelling message that people want to tune into and people want to find out more about, I think that's it's a good option. And then the other thing is that I think that social media is this. Yeah?
Go ahead.
I think that the other huge myth is that social media is this hot new thing, and that it's this great way to make a lot of money. You just sort of get into it and read all these blogs and write your own blog and maybe throw up some ads later or something like that. And I don't think that for most people, I think most of us, including myself possibly, are going to get ground into the dust by it, and only some people are going to be able to be, very sustainably successful with it as a career or a life path. So I don't think it's an easy way to make money. I think it's a tough way to make money.
Brett,
okay, so we have.
Wait, Brett. I'm going to have to cut it up a little bit short because I gotta
Sure.
I want to ask some questions from the audience, and I got one right here. We got story time with JD tonight, and I want to get a little bit of that in. We still got a few more minutes with you, but And if
Okay.
anyone else has any more questions, just type them on in here for us, okay? Question we have here from California Eagle. What is the goal that you have with your blog? What is the why behind your blog?
Okay, so my goal was I wanted to build a lot of connections with people in the social media world, sort of like public relations connections, and I wanted to build an audience around. I wanted to build web traffic around something that was hot, like somewhere that you could build traffic about, like Twitter, Facebook, like all of these kinds of things. And I didn't particularly have a really good plan on how to monetize that, and that's one of the things that I'm sort of dealing with now. I'm wondering how profitable it might be.
If anyone else has any other questions, go ahead and continue to ask them. But I got tons more, so let's keep diving back into them for a few more minutes. We do have
we got
one
from G-Man. G-Man put a question in there. He wanted to know if Brett has any social media groupies and how many.
No, I don't get out enough. Like I actually do a lot of like web work here in my little office at home. I don't think I have any social media groupies, and I don't know. One of my goals is to just sort of get out and talk with people more. And I got in a really bad accident this year. I was in a snowboarding accident and I broke my larynx. So I'm just sort of relearning how to talk again. And it's sort of kept me from going to Blog World or from like hanging out with people. And it's also sort of made me rethink my strategy of just talk less, socialize less, and like work more and like write more and build links more or something like that. So I don't know. I've just sort of been hard at work and no groupies.
Well, I'm your groupie.
Don't you think
just
social?
FYI. I'm sorry.
California Eagle's got a follow-up question. How are you planning to monetize it? How are you planning on building a email list?
Okay, so I'm using, yes, how am I planning to monetize it?
Yeah.
I'm developing a high-value information product right now, something that I know for sure that people will pay like, more than $100 or like $200 for. So I'm assimilating some premium information that's related to social media. And just like, somebody like Copyblogger, like Brian Clark uses his blog as sort of like a beacon to draw in web traffic and send it off to his different courses and stuff that he runs. I'm going to use my blog as just a way to get that web traffic and get people's attention so I can funnel it into something that good, high-quality information that's much higher quality than what I give out for free that I can sell to them.
Well, Brett, I appreciate your time, and you've been a fantastic guest, and we do a short movie, perhaps a 2-hour show. We're going to have to have you come back on so I can ask you the rest of these questions.
Yeah,
and I'm sure other people have a lot of questions. I'd like to invite you to stay because JD's got some more things to say, but anything you want to say before we finish up here with you?
No, thank you so much for having me. And I just think this whole social media thing is really interesting. It's kind of like a world. Sometimes it's like a world of illusions, or it just doesn't seem real. And then sometimes I have connections and I meet people and I discover things that are really real. And so I kind of go up and down with it. Sometimes I get really excited. Sometimes I get like really burnt out or a little bit jaded by it. But I definitely am enjoying the ride. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, and thank you to California Eagle and the G-Man for asking those
thanks,
questions.
Guys.
Really appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Brett.
Yeah.
Definitely, thank you. Now stay, don't leave. You looks like you're leaving.
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, you're just getting
It's JD story time. These are always good.
No, this is good stuff. This is great stuff. I didn't get to see you, and I was oftentimes incapacitated at Blog World for some reason or another. But did you get to go to Blog World yourself, Brett?
Me? No, I'm not allowed to go this year. I'm still recovering from my accident.
I got you. Well, that's a shame. You didn't miss much. There was a lot of stuff. Louis Bauer got to push some guy in the fountain in Las Vegas. That was fun to watch. And
sweet.
Lots of frolicking. I got to meet a ton of people that I had never met before. But one person I've still never met before is T-Ched. And we are joined on the line right now by Tom. Tom, are you there with us? And Tom is there, but he just doesn't say, "Hey, this is Tom." Okay, there he is. How are you doing? I'm doing great, Tom. How are you doing? It sounds like you're having some audio problems. No, just give me a second. I'll get it fixed. Okay, Tom. Fair enough. In that case, let me grab some balls and juggle. Did you guys hear that juggling actually allows you to open up a portion of your brain that has never been opened up before? Amazing stuff.
Really?
Yes, it's like the only way to be able to do it. You have to juggle at least one time in your life, and it's kind of like riding a bike. It actually enhances part of your brain. It's wild and wacky stuff. Tom, you with us yet? No, I said hold on. Okay. Well, in that case, let's go straight up to Blog World. So, Blog World this year, you might as well, you could have renamed it, okay? Because it wasn't just Blog World. This year, it was as much social media world as anything else. Hold on real quick. Let me move this over. There we go. Get everybody on the screen now. Blog World was pretty much just a matter of social media meets the blogging world. And I was not present last year, but from what I was told, last year was a lot more about the tools, about the traffic, about getting people involved in blogging. And this year, it seemed like every other word was about integrating Twitter, integrating Facebook, integrating Digg, getting going with this social tool, that social tool. So again, it became very relevant for us in the show to discuss Blog World, which I will do. I'm trying to pull up a video, and I'm not sure if it's going to work. I don't know if my bandwidth will work for this video. So I'm going to describe the scene. We're walking along. Now you need to be able to see me because I have to do visuals. There we go.
You're opening your brain right now. You're juggling.
I am juggling. I'm juggling multiple tasks all at once as I juggle for Tom.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
You guys hear me now?
Sharing.
We hear you.
Yes.
Let's at this point let's break from Blog World and get a live update from Tom Cherider. Is that right? Cherider?
Sure, yes.
Cherider.
I enjoy people butchering my last name, but that was pretty good.
T-Chad. What's going on, T-Chad?
Not too much. I had spoke to you yesterday about an article. I think you submitted it to Digg. I'm not actually sure where you put it in, but I saw it. It was about the statistics of workplaces across the country that block social media. And it was like 56%.
Yeah, we talked about it on last week's show, actually.
Right, but then there was a follow-up.
Yeah, I actually, having seen that, the following day, I went to speak to like a very large group of high school journalists, and you know, of course, they came in and said, "Would you talk about social media?" So I had like a bunch just slides and was ready to roll. None of them had really done much of anything. They had no idea what Digg was. They had no idea what half of the services that I was prepared to talk about. They had heard of Twitter because, you know, old people force it down their throat to get on it. But, yes.
Now, when you say you spoke to high school students, high school journalists, was Urgo there?
Oh,
come on.
This is where you take out the social blade and cut it.
Yes.
I just had a social blade in the abdomen. Okay, continue. Sorry, Tom, for the interruption.
But what basically is the first group was just so uninterested in it, and they were from a large metropolitan area, Nashville. The second group I had were from a rural area, and when I started talking to them, I was like, "Do you guys use your real name?" Which the other group did not. They're like, "Yeah, we don't have a problem with it." And I'm like, "Well, then why aren't you on the line? Weren't you using, because you'd really probably benefit a whole lot more from Twitter, because you can be open." And they're like, "Well, we're all on dial-up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Let me ask you another question. When you're in school, can you use social media?" And they're like, "No, they look down upon it." And I'm like, we're kind of forcing the hand here. Like, the youth doesn't like it, and we're blocking it in the workplace, so companies don't largely get it. I mean,
we are, and
yeah.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say that's really weird too, because they were journalist students. I mean, journalism now is going towards social media because they're forced to. They have no other choice. So to not teach the future of journalism or journalists rather, to actually utilize media within their work. It should start in high school. That's where it should start, and then it should continue if they choose to go into, radio and television arts or broadcast journalism or whatever they choose to do in their post-secondary. But I mean, that's where it should start. So that's amazing. But I am not surprised, especially with the way that schools are these days. They seem to be shocking. Where they're getting their education, they're graduating illiterate students. But if you're taking journalism in school, I think that's if there's teachers out there listening and they're teaching journalism, they really should get into social media.
They were like, how do we do it? And I was like, I would really advocate teaching them how to use the tools, and tell them to go out and do it on their own, because you can't get away with it the way that the rules are currently set up in high schools across the country, and it's sad, but more than anything. And tell me if you guys are on the same page with this comparison, but back when they were like, TV will rot your brains, it's horrible, it has absolutely no value, and most people were like, no, it's not true, you're just using it improperly. And now it's like every single school has a television in the classroom, they have access to videos, it's an integrated part of their lessons. But that was an easier switch because it was just video. Is it ever going to come full circle with social networks, do you think, in education?
Wow, that's nice. Yes, absolutely. And well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I did an interview, and because I have not gotten the release yet, I can't say who it's with, but I did an interview with a company that is currently working towards integrating, utilizing social media as the teaching tool. In other words, not strictly just as a portion of schools, but also having it as the primary form of work assignments, the primary form of research, where everything is going to be accumulated into a social sphere that is going to allow a student in Tibet, for example, to ask a question of a social media expert in Antarctica if they needed to. So if Victor was still there, then he'll be fine.
I think schools will embrace it when it becomes a screaming financial necessity. I think they're kind of reactionary. They offer they teach people what the jobs are demanding right now, and that once that companies are hiring a lot more for social media, and then it's almost too late, then they'll start getting serious about teaching and offering it.
Agreed.
Do you think it's hindered at all by the fact that these teachers, because a lot of them said that we're not really that Facebook as we used to be, and I asked them why, and they're like, well, now my mom's on there, and my dad's on there, and my teachers are on there, but they're not actually using Facebook. They're not actually using. They're just watching. They're lurking, and it's really kind of creepy, especially as a teenager, having all of these adults speculate that they're going to do something evil or bad, and then
kind of like the CIA.
Just watching. Possibly, yes.
I think the CIA is taking over education, and Pat has become an oddly
a teacher, a female teacher, kind of with heels. Cerberus 23 said that her kids are actually taking HTML courses, and graphic courses, I believe she said. But I think that it would be important if there was an actual course, perhaps, on social media in high school.
I want to know how to get that started too, because if you propose, I used to cover board of education meetings. If you to the people who put up with the curriculum, they would laugh, or they would think it was ridiculous and dismiss you immediately, because they look at it like it's just it's silly fun with absolute no purpose, and it's like I don't know. I'm wondering how do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I like the idea because I'm into social media, but why should it be taught in the schools? And I'm not disagreeing. I mean, under what grounds would you say that it should be taught in schools? What would be the purpose of doing so?
It might be taught in schools. It might be used in in relation to schools. Like maybe you have everybody go home and record your reactions using your Facebook app, for the, mayoral election debate. Something. I don't know.
Okay, so
As
not so
opposed
much
to, hey,
teaching them how to use social media, but how to use social media to interact with society through either politics or other social citizenship type things.
Yeah, and it really kind of unhinges that, that set hour to hour basis, and having to be inside of a classroom. But that's where everything else is going. As soon as you get out, it's almost more functional to have a meeting this way than it would be for all of us to be sitting across the room and one camera on us.
He's totally right. I mean, and I agree with Joshua Denny as well. He wrote in the room, on the grounds that schools should be teaching skills, teaching kids how to use tools, social media is a part of the evolution of our communication, which is absolutely correct, I believe. And even if they don't teach it as a course, I mean, journalism, that's a necessity. That's the future of media as a whole. So, I mean, but I do think there should be a course. And I know I get your point, Pat, but at the same time, it's like Joshua Denny said, it's an evolution of our communication, and we need to continue to teach our children to socialize in different realms, such as social media, just like we teach them to socialize within a classroom in kindergarten. I mean, it's an important part of evolution.
From the perspective of a journalist, had we done this at the beginning with newspapers and education, we wouldn't have had this whole huge giant debate of like, are bloggers journalists? Do they deliver news? Because everybody would have known the ethics going into it, that this is just a different tool that you use. But I see that happening again. So
let's see what the Twitter sphere thinks. I'm going to tweet out: should schools be teaching with social media? Debate being held at socialblade.com/show. I'm going to tweet that out. I know we've only got about five minutes or so, but I would love to find out what other people are thinking as well. Those in the audience, those who will be joining the audience. Should social media be used? Should it be taught, first off? And I think that we've already established that Pat and I think that it should not, and others think that it should. Should it be? Oh, Brett, did you think it should? It should not as well?
I think it should.
Oh, you think it should? Right.
I think there's a social media evolution, and there's sort of like a natural selection for people that don't understand social media, and they'll be out of the gene pool soon enough.
All right. Well, I am now convinced again. So I'm going to leave Pat's side, and I'm going to go to the Brett side.
And at one point did I say, in fact, I said to Aaron that I don't have a problem with it. I mean, but what would be your reasoning behind it?
You're right, Pat. You are absolutely right. I'm going to switch back to your side now.
Okay. I'm giving a virtual high five to Brett.
All right. Show's over. Me and JD win. No, go ahead, Aaron.
I don't, and I know there's some people already in the room here, who will teach it. Natural Papa says social media experts. So I think there needs to be, a certain amount of how much influence a person has, and not people who actually title themselves as social media experts in any way, shape, or form. But because you can't be an expert on anything. I mean, that's just the way life is. But at the same time, you can see how much influence a person has in the social media world. And if they have a lot of influence, or they're able to be sociable, maybe not in the media aspect, but they're able to utilize the media aspect and socialize within it, then, yeah, I mean, there's the influence.
I completely disagree.
I'm not talking about numbers.
All I know is this.
All the fake social media experts, the only thing they're going to be qualified to do is to be social media kindergarten teachers. Like, people will look at their Twitter account and they'll be like, you can only teach kindergarten and first grade.
Yeah, but then exactly. But then you'll go into the higher grades, and you're going to have Louis Bauer and Reg Sadler teaching our high school students not only how to.
Reg is going to be the dean.
The dean. Reg is going to be as dean as possible. Yeah, no, I mean, it's I see what everybody's saying. I do for certain, absolutely positively, without a doubt, believe that social media should be used to teach with. And I'm starting to understand what you're saying as far as why we would want to teach it as a skill itself, just like you would have home economics. It's not that everybody's going to be cooking and sewing in the future, but those who do may need to have the training to be able to do so. I loved home ec, as a matter of fact. I remember there was this one. Well, never mind. But
that's an excellent point, JD. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Right there. I mean, that's part of answering Pat's question right there.
Well, in that case, I totally agree with Aaron. I
know,
agree with Aaron that was a great point. I love it. That's awesome. Urgo, what do you think? You haven't really chimed out or in.
I think that, well, especially for the journalist students, they absolutely should be taught it in the journalism classes. As for the general student body, I don't think it per se needs to be taught, but it should at least be. They should be familiar with it at least. I think.
Familiar.
I don't know if you have to have a class on Twitter, though. For example.
No, but not a class on Twitter.
Using Twitter and maybe using I got to like the office, like 75% of the people have never heard of Skype.
Wow. I would say like if you're taking like a class on current events, that would be a great place to bring Twitter into it, for example. A way to talk about the news and things like that in places like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying not have a social media class, but have social media taught integrated in with other courses. In other words, have like English. Like for example, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I'm gonna let you finish, but
Kanye West is not dead.
Kanye West is not the greatest. Okay, no. But you're saying, like, for example, have an English class where they teach you everything about proper English, and then as part of English class, have a separate section where they're showing you how not to speak English, which is how you speak on Twitter, using shortened versions,
they teach maybe a form of shorthand.
Sure, Twitter shorthand.
Adapted for everyone.
Oh,
text
doesn't
hand.
fit into everything. Like, it wouldn't. I don't know if it fit into an English class, but it would fit into
WTF.
I definitely remember in high school having to go and find newspaper. It would fit into that type of environment, I think.
See, when me and Pat were in high school, we didn't even have newspapers. Everything was on stone tablets. So communication was much easier. We just said,
I'm actually
they would
still in
teach
high
us
school.
how to use the phone.
I just feel like I really just feel like we're telling the kids to don't use social media unless it's on your own time, and then when they get to the business world, which we're in that gap, but when they get to the business world, they're being told these are valuable skills that you should know how to do. We haven't prepared them. We've basically made it impossible to do so, and so it's like on either ends of the wavelength, nobody's learning and nobody's taking in. So I guess it's kind of back to what Brett said. Eventually, it'll even out, I hope, to where one side will take over the other, and then it won't be that big of a deal to teach kids and say, hey, here's...
Right. Well, as soon as America takes over Canada, that's when it'll all work out. When America takes over Canada.
What I did want to bring up was what Tom did say. He said that you believe that Skype is a part of social media. A totally different show. We could go on about that, but I just want to know yes or no. Do you think Skype is a part of social media? I'm going to ask every guest this.
I mean, it's like it is and it isn't, but Skype would not really have any application, but right now we're using it for social media, and so if you didn't know what it was, that would be a huge roadblock. You wouldn't even suggest, let's have a show and have 7 people on, without making it really far more difficult than it had to be.
Right. No, I agree.
Just an entry level, hey, here's how you do it. Now you know. But they don't even get that right now.
I know. And
So it's considered more like a tool to you.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like programmed per se, but
I just want to and thank you, Tom, for bringing up an obviously very interesting topic. Thank you, Brett, as well for bringing up many interesting topics. I wanted to show this real quick because I'm sorry, but quite frankly, this is probably the most amazing rendition of another human being I've ever seen. For those who can see it on the screen, this is Victor Barrera. Okay, this is Aaron Ryan's interpretation of Victor Barrera, and Good golly, that's spot on. I mean, that's good stuff.
Holy poop! It nailed them.
I mean, that you don't get any closer to a human being using crayons better than what Aaron was able to do there. Other than the tie, I don't think that Victor has a tie. But man, everything else, the smile, the look, the fingers, everything. And I've seen Victor. I've been to lunch with Victor a few times, and this is you are looking at Victor Barrera. Okay, so $1,100. That will be Aaron Ryan. It's you can just tweet her the money through For You to Wear, and she'll get the money for you to wear too. Yeah, or For You to Wear 3. She's going to grab that Twitter account later as well.
Sure.
Thank you once again to everyone, and I guess last call for questions. Come on, are there any other questions from the audience, from the guests, from the hosts? For anyone else, except for me, no, don't ask me any questions. Excellent. Again,
that is a beautiful. Victor's mom saw that and she cried. She thought it was great. What is that? Where they with the cloth over the Virgin Mary, and then her image appeared on it. What's that called? God, I'm Catholic and
Religion.
I don't know.
You're talking about the Shroud of Turin, and it wasn't the Virgin Mary, but still, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the Shroud of Victor.
The Shroud of the Shroud of Barrera.
Yeah.
Barrera, the Shroud of Barrera. I love it. Thank you, audience, for coming.
Next week we're gonna have a new intro, so you'll be able to see the actual picture of Victor and the actual picture of all of us.
The actual Victor will be there.
Cartoon.
Also joining us will be...
And the actual Victor.
Yes. Also joining us will be Brian Childs from Asylum.com. Those who are familiar with this wonderful publication that is doing very well across very many social media sites, Brian Childs from Asylum.com will be with us. Thanks again.
So if you have any questions, get them ready for them next week.
Right. And we will ask them. Ask Eagles or G-Man. We ask questions. That's how we roll. You'll learn that. Thanks to Hot Hardware for doing your thing, being there and just helping us have a show. If it wasn't for you guys, we just wouldn't exist. We would be nowhere. Am I taking it too far yet?
No.
Thank you
Never.
to Tom.
You're making up ground.
You're welcome. See, Tom said thank you, or I said thank you, and Tom said you're welcome, and it worked out very well for us.
It's incredible how much he nailed my voice too.
And your name. And that's my last question. Exactly how do you say your name? Tell me this. How is your name pronounced? How do you
think it should be said?
I was thinking Cherider.
Cheriday.
Cherider.
That's less close.
Cherider.
Cheridar.
Cheridar.
Oh.
Cheridar.
Sounds like a fancy drink.
Cheridar. I'm gonna learn this one.
Maybe it is.
I'm gonna learn this one.
Maybe it could be.
So
it could be. You should look into that.
It should be.
We have 14 lovely people in here. Let's get a drink on the board.
Yeah, I agree.
Come back maybe next week.
Thank you to everyone, and remember
for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was cool to be social instead of just typing all the time. So thanks a lot for having me. You guys rock. Take care.
You rock more than
you rock too.
You are a rock star. Socialmediarockstar.com. And also every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, the Social Blade Show at socialbladeshow.com/show. One quick note that I want to throw out there we were trying to get Andrew Sorsini on, but he was doing something with his children. The social or the drill down has been canceled for Friday nights. It has been moved now to Sundays. So those who are used to the drill down being on Fridays, they have moved it to Sunday nights or Sunday at some point, and Andrew will, I'm sure, be tweeting out via the Twitter account Mr. Babyman exactly when and where that show is going to be. But definitely come to our show Thursday night 7 p.m. socialbladeshow.com/show. Because why? Because we are Social Blade. Thank you all.